In this video, we're going to look at equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions which have the same value, but look a little bit different. They have different numbers in them. So, for example, 1/2, which we can represent with a circle split into two equal-sized pieces and colouring one of them. It could be represented in quarters. If we draw this circle in quarters, by colouring or shading the same amount of space, we would need to colour 2 of the quarters. So 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent because they have the same value, but they look different. Eating half a cake and eating 2/4 of a cake would mean the same thing. If I want to take 1/4, so I'm going to break it into 4 equal-sized pieces, colour one of them. If I want 1/4, but I want to write it in 8ths, I'm going to take that same piece, and instead of breaking it into 4 pieces, I'm going to break each of those 4 pieces into 2 separate pieces to make 8 pieces. All I've really done is split this piece in half, each of those pieces in half. So instead of colouring 1/4, I'm going to colour 2/8. And 2/8 takes up the same space as 1/4, so they are equivalent. So you might have noticed for each of these, all we're really doing is splitting each piece in half. For every single piece we've got, we're going to end up with 2 smaller pieces, 2/4. 1/2 is 2/4. With this one, we just split our quarter into 2 pieces to make 2/8. Now, if we start with 1/2, which again looks like this, but we want to make it into 8ths. So we'll start with our 1/2. If we split each piece into 2 pieces, we end up with quarters. We'll do that a second time to make 8 equal-sized pieces. If we want to shade 1/2, we'll shade 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 8ths and 1/2 are the same. Now, using that same trick that we just did, multiplying by whatever number, we can find an equivalent fraction for any fraction we want. So, for example, if we have 3/7, but we actually want to turn it into 14ths, all we have to do is look at what happened to the denominator. 7 times by 2, or doubled, would make 14. So we're going to times by 2 over here. 3 times 2 makes 6. Or if I want to take, let's say, 8/10, but I actually don't want tenths, I now want it in fifths. To go from here to here, we're not doubling this time, we're actually dividing it by 2. 5 2's go into 10. And to divide 8 by 2, to do the same thing over here, we end up with 8 divided by 2 is 4. 8/10 and 4/5 are equivalent. We can do that with lots of different numbers. If I actually had 3, let's go 12ths, and I want to make that into 48ths. 12 times what makes 48? The answer to that is 4. 3 times by 4, doing the same thing on the denominator and the numerator. 3 4s are 12. So that's how we find equivalent fractions.